prefabricated jail they put me in. And I'm playing a bass that Reggie made when he was in the joint.
Yep.
As you can see, it's got the license plate design. It says stamped in the state of Michigan. It looks like the state of Michigan. That's what it got it.
Yes, sir.
And I got the Reggie blues.
Thanks for making it sound better than I ever could have.
I said I got the Reggie blues. I know how it feels when your baby cut the bottom of all your shoes. That's the Reggie blues. Now, ladies and gentlemen, while I'm playing all this stuff on the bass, it's freezing rain outside. I'm trying to warm up. And I never played a penitentiary bass in my life. This bass, boy, I tell you, you can lose this. You don't have to worry about somebody messing with you with this. You hit them over the head with it.
Oh, yes,
This ain't no Warwick, excuse me. The only reason I've left my Warwicks because I had an incident today and I was running and I left them and I'm playing Reggie's penitentiary bass. Feels good, Reggie. It's Chain Gang Model 5, isn't it?
That's right.
Yes, indeed. But it's good to be home in Detroit at the bottom of the base. What do you call this? The base pit?
The basement.
Basement?
The basement. That's Bassmint.
Yeah, we down close to Satan. Down here at the bottom, but it's nice. It's really nice. It's good to be with my fellow Michiganders. That the bass enthusiasts.
Okay.
Proud to be here.
Well, tell us your name in case nobody caught that.
Okay, my name is Puddingtang. You ask me again, I'll tell you something.
And what is that? What is your name?
My birth name is Ralphe Armstrong.
How you doing? Welcome to the basement, Ralph. How you doing, man?
I'm doing everybody I can. I do you let me.
Yeah, I know. I have
I'm
lectured
trying to
several
do,
times.
Dave Bing, but he couldn't read or write, so let him know.
All right, now check this out. We hanging out in the basement with Ralph. Also hanging out with us in the basement is none other than a Bassmint alumni. Tell us your name, sir.
Kevin Floyd.
Another Detroit bass player. And tell us your name, sir.
Bobby Lee Johnson.
Another, what you play?
I play bass.
Now, if your name is Bobby Lee Johnson, so tell us.
No, I'm Todd Flanders.
Todd Flanders, another Detroit bass player and a Bassmint alumni, and also
Reginald Canty.
Reginald Canty, another Detroit bass player, and our gracious host. We like to welcome all the bass players around the world, all 500 subscribers to the Detroit Bass Players on YouTube thingy. hanging out with us here with none other than Mr. Ralphe Armstrong.
I looked in a Fender catalog, and there was an illustration of a Sunburst fretless bass. I believe the catalog, I'm almost positive, was 1970. So I had a brand new 1970 bass. So what I did, I ordered the fretless neck and swapped it. And I think I got $50 for the trade-in. The neck was only $75. Because my bass was like brand new. It was I took it back to the guy I bought it from Otto Fortuna on Van Dyke over there. And if it wasn't for James Jameson, none of us would have started on a fretless bass. It might have been years later, you know. Or I might have been in that same concept. But I started to branch out with different sounds. And Herbie Hancock was the person who really got me to sound more modern, get more tonalities out of the bass. He worked with me. He said, "Man, why don't you come out of that dead sound, man, play something, come on, try to do this new stuff," you know. So that's what happened, you know.
So I mean, I'm curious as a bassist myself, and I ain't too shabby, by the way. Just watching you, it's like you got chops for days and days and days.
Who said you could play, man? Nobody said about how you could play. You shabby, by the way. Who was the first bass maker of record? I'm asking you a question.
My mother said I could play. That's all that matters to me.
I'm just messing with you, man.
As long as my mother think I ain't too shabby on the bass, I'm a star, bro.
That's good, because I'm just still learning.
Right, but
I learned from Rick Robinson, and I still study the instrument. You know,
Rick the
classical bass
that was just over here in the basement, by the way.
Right. Well, we've discussed different concepts in the history. You know, I teach college. You know, I just left North Jacksonville State, and I taught at Oberlin for 5 years in Michigan, part-time at Michigan State. You know, but I'm a historian when it comes to the history, the physics, and the science of this instrument. You know, so it's like I'm on the intellectual level when it comes to classical music and the bass, the electric bass. That's the way we all should be if we're going to be bass players and learn the history. Like Mr. Chuck Rainey is very, very. He says he can't play it well. He's got a K bass, but he is the most intellectual bass player I've ever met. You know, he's very highly intelligent man.
Yeah, we was just hanging out with him at the Detroit Bass Stage.
We might do something together. We're talking about doing a project together.
That'll work.
Chuck can play, man. And we talk about technique, and that's really paramount to getting the sound out of a bass. There are many different ways of approaching it, but the main way is, I'm not going to go into questions and answers because you're interviewing me, but there was a guy in 1870 in Czechoslovakia, in Prague. He's a professor at the university. His name was Josef Harbs. And he was the man who invented the positions for the double bass. And actually, I use that technique, so does Ron Carter and Stanley Clark and a lot of other classically trained basses. We still, even on electric bass, we still have this concept of what he has. It's a schematic that we go by. It's knowing what finger to put on what note and what position. There are alternate fingers to use. And his student was, Simandl, Franz Simandl. You say Simandl, and Josef Harbs taught Simandl. I don't know if Simandl paid attention, but
well, he was the one with that. Simandl's the one with the famous book that everybody should have.
Yeah, but Josef Harbs. If you want to get Josef Harbs' method, it's called Josef Harbs Transcriptions by Adolf Lauder, a German professor, and you can find it. You can order it at Foots Music, and that's at number 10 Golden Square in England. What? Edgewell, Middlesex, Sussex.
Okay, I'll put a caption up under there.
Yeah. Foots Music, Fottes, in London. You get all the literature, you know. Okay. They have some of the greatest books in the world. That's how I learned a lot, from Foots and Oxford University.
Did you go to college for music?
No, I didn't.
Well,
nobody knows that. First person ever asked me that. But guess why? Now I'm going to answer that. That's a good question. I'm going to answer. I can hear your brain. How did I learn all this? Because I went to Cass Technical High School. And I went to Cass. It was more or less today's standards. It would be better than any college at the intermediate level. Because we had sectional at 7 a.m. We had sectional bass section. we would study the fingering of the double bass. They don't do that today, not even in universities. You know, so when I got out of Cass Tech, I already had damn near a master's in music. We had elements, theory, all of this, and this is a Detroit high school. We had piano, you know, counterpoint. You know, we had sight singing. You know, we were educated up to kazoo.
Nice.
You know, so today's, and I look what I taught in the universities, because the reason I taught in the university is because I passed a professorship exam. And that's at Oberlin Conservatory. And I had to meet with the board and ask a lot of questions, some of the same things that I just told you guys about, Joseph Harbs. Those are the questions they asked me about, but they didn't tell me the names. Right. A lot of the things I just knew about the instrument, the physics, the science. Ron Carter taught me a lot about the physics of the double bass.
Another Detroit bass player.
Yeah, the physics. And it's important. Knowledge is a hell of a thing. Also, I have had a good friend, bless us. So his name was Bob Gladstone, was the principal of the Detroit Symphony. Was a good friend of mine, and I learned a lot from him. So I was exposed to some of the greatest bass players in the world, and I was a fanatic for the instrument, and I read every book. And then leaving Cass, and my teacher, one of my teachers was Rodney Blood. He was, I think, from Stuttgart, he was a Bohemian. And he was 90 years old back then, making his own rosin. You know, we had guys it was beyond the colleges that we have today, because we had a room full of basses and a man that maintained the maintenance of them.
Wow.
It was on the level of the National Music Camp, Interlochen. Interlochen is the only other place I've ever seen that high standards for a college or educational facility, besides Cass Tech in Detroit, Michigan. If there was something wrong with your instrument, Professor Blood, you'd take it to Rodney Blood, and he would take his rulers and he would adjust the sound posts or cut the bridge and adjust the tailpiece. You know, this is high school, but it was technical. We learned everything. You can. And then we would pick basses. These basses that we had were hundreds of years old too. They were not garbage instruments. These were classical quality basses. They were made in Czechoslovakia. We had one bass was made in Milan. You know, we had great instruments. And by the way, we had another bass player with me. We were in the same orchestra, Marion Hayden.
Right.
We were colleagues. You know. So that's why I get mad at politicians by destroying our educational system.
Yeah.
Because they paid money back then for the right people to be there to help the kids and give them knowledge. That's why we got all these knuckleheads today. They don't know anything. They don't know nothing. They don't know anything about science, physics. They don't know anything about the Wizard of Menlo Park. Nothing. These are bumpkins, illiterate dummies. Oh, did I say that? Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay, so
I didn't mean to go off, but it's not the instrument.
You go off as many times as you want.
Yeah, but it's all true though. Thank you, Jesus.
By the way, just to let you know, some people dispute your claim about the having the fretless bass before Jocko. I'm not gonna put this on here.
Guess what? You can. You know why? Hold it. Let me say, put it on there. You know why? Because let me tell you one thing. There are a lot of people that are alive asked. If those who doubt it, call one of the greatest producers in the world. His name is Michael Narada Walden.
Yeah.
He's in Marin County, Tarpan Studios. Call him and ask the secretary. He'll call back or send you an email. You can also ask John McLaughlin, one of the greatest guitar players in the world. You can ask him. You can also ask a man by the name who's one of the top commercial producers in Chicago. His name is Sandy Turano. He has his own jingle house. And there's another man who is there. His name is Gregory Feld. He's in Toledo, Ohio. Also, there's another guy named Greg DeJoven who lives in Honolulu, who was Michael's manager. And we were all there, and we all saw this, and no one can change history because we ain't dead yet.
Right. And the reason I mention that, because some of the other interviews that I've done with you, and when you spoke of this...
can I say, cutting you off? Ask Jocko's relatives.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
And I want y'all to see that, because some of the people do... I get a lot of hits from interviews with you because you are a Ralphe Armstrong, but some people wanted to dispute some of the things that you said about that instance, and
But
and I
can I
always
say
wanted
this?
you to see. I always wanted you to see that because. And I never make comments myself on. I let everybody say what they want. I don't censor
Right,
anything.
it's okay because you got a lot of imbeciles,
Right.
and that people thrive on ignorance. And I see that sometimes on the bass sites. And it's this one incident. They were talking about this Maestro bass brass master, and these people were going on the site and it's the Holy Grail. It's this and that. It's a piece of garbage.
Oh, the
I
book?
used to endorse. I endorsed the damn thing.
The flip pedal.
Yeah, and guess what it was? And see, you cannot change a person's mind or change history. I was there. I used it. You know how many Maestro bass brass masters? You don't believe me? Ask John McLaughlin, because I used them on a ton of recordings. They were garbage. Let me tell you. Let me tell you about these pedals. Now I'm gonna set this straight. Now we're gonna go back to that. The Maestro Bass Brassmaster, I bought it at Manny's.
Yeah.
And guess what it was supposed to do? It was supposed to make your instrument sound like a trombone. And it sounded like this. It was like... It was the worst sounding thing, and it was... It sounded like the worst, just not distortion, but it was in between distortion. So one day, I was fooling around, and I tell you who was there too, Nate Watts. We were both at SRR because he was
Another
with Steve.
Detroit bass player.
Right. And I ended up fooling with this. Said, this thing sounds awful. You know, it don't sound like no trombone. You know, trombone, I want to sound like Curtis Fuller, another Detroiter. Boo-boo-boo-boo, you know, I want to get that smooth sound. No sound. It was awful. So what? I turned the sensitivity up one day, and next thing I know, it was like, whoa, yeah, sound like Jimi Hendrix. I said, oh man, this is that shit, you know. So I used it on a lot of recordings. And to this day, I still use that concept. It's on my new CD, the concept, you know, because I was influenced by Jimi Hendrix a lot. Mm-hmm. But in a nutshell, pedal was garbage. It would break even the mounts with the switch. I used to hit the switch, and the switch would go all the way into where the capacitors were. And I'm like, I can't even turn the thing off. I'm on stage. God dang it, Greg DeJoven, who used to be the roadman. He's on the cover of that Apocalypse we did with the London Symphony. He was our tech guy. You know, and he would go in there, and he would wire so many of them things, and he would have to put his fingers inside when I'm on stage and pull a switch up to turn it off. So if anybody, I think I got a graveyard of them dummy things around from my old mother's house. You know, and they were no good. Now I use Digitech. Now I got something good I can program. You know, I've been using Digitech for years. So if you want to get a sound, but that thing was nothing.
Some people swear by them, and you can right now their classics.
No, but they were not there. That's what's wrong with people who want to change history. Mm-hmm. You can't tell me. It's just like telling Carroll Shelby his car didn't beat Ferrari, the 289 Cobra.
Okay.
You know, it beat Ferrari, and Le Mans beat the hell out of 5 of them. Whipped Ferrari all night long in 1965 with a Ford Cobra. I have that. Matter of fact, I got the same engine in my Lincoln. Great engine, 500,000 miles. You can get 500,000 miles out of it. But that's history. But people who don't know want to always alter things and think they know it. And that's what irks me. And I'm gonna say one thing about this whole Jocko thing. He was a wonderful person. He was my friend. He always treated me nice as a person. You know, he was not arrogant. He was nasty to people that were like, you know, full of BS, you know. But as a friend, he would always, man, check out my rig. You know, he's always hanging the whiskey go-go. You know, he was just a nice guy. He was actually too nice, you know. So God bless his soul. But people need to stop and read and learn history. You can't say something about people who were not there. You know, if this story ain't true about me pulling the frets out of him pulling the frets out of the bass, as Victor Bailey.
Okay, another fine bassist by the way,
and a Detroit bass player member.
No, he's not from Detroit.
No, he's a Detroit bass player member though.
He's a
is
member
he?
of the Detroit bass players on Facebook.
Cool, man.
Okay, so thank you for that information. That goes out to you cats that says your pieces on those other Ralph segment. Another question I wanted to ask you was, you could live anywhere you want because your gigs are all over the world. You can live anywhere you want. Why do you choose to stay home as a Detroit bass player and kick it in Detroit? Why do you stay here?
You know why? It's a lot of musicians here, man. Look at this. It's bass players here like roaches. You know, there's so much talent here. It's a melting pot. It reminds me sort of like the old days in New York, because you can go around, and furthermore, people don't get it that all of the great musicians that came to New York, most of them were from here. Mm-hmm. You know, they were from here. Look at Hack. You know, I know that's his nickname, but I'm talking about Roland Hanna, who I had the pleasure of working with. One of the greatest piano players with Herbie Hancock. I worked with Herbie. I was in the Headhunters, and one of the guys that he admired. And I see similarities in him playing, man. And I worked with one of the greatest piano players in the world. His name is Tommy Flanagan from Detroit. That's two great Detroit piano players. Then you look at all of the music that came out of the 50s that was like, the people idolized. Even all of Miles' records. There was always the rhythm section from Detroit. Paul Chambers, another Cass Tech bass player.
Right.
You know, he came before Ron. A lot of people don't know, Ron Carter didn't really start out on bass. He was a cello player. And they would not let him become first chair in the orchestra back then. There might have been a little racism or something. But he said, hell with it. They wouldn't let me play the first chair on the cello. I played on the bass. So he picked up the bass. And a lot of people didn't know. Ron was not a jazz player until the late 50s. You know, but he learned a lot from Paul. So it's just so much music here, like James Jamerson. I'm glad you're doing this interview. I'm glad I'm here. Because I saw James Jamerson play with Yusef Lateef. See, he came in with his hat on and said, "Look, fat boy, come here, help me with this amp." He had this B-15. I'll never forget this amp. I don't know where he got these casters from. These casters, the circumference of them had to be almost 15 inches. They were this big. Mm-hmm. I mean, this big. The amp was sitting up here, like, you know, and it was so easy. You could jump on the amp and ride down the street on it. And these were serious casters. So he would come out and he'd pull his bass out, and he'd go down with the DeSace players, Teddy Harris, Chips on trombone, all these cats, famous musicians, Little John on trumpet, Road Runner, Maurice Davis, and I think who was George Davidson might have been playing drums, and just Jimmy Morgan on guitar, and Jamerson sit in and he'd be reading the big band chart. He was like, let's see, da ba ba da 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 da. This is not a Warwick. I'm just trying to say. It's nice though for a penitentiary baby.
Okay. Again, I ain't want to keep you, man. But
no, we talk. I got my woman's sitting there.
She's here?
No. She went shopping, so she. You can go a little bit longer. You go a little bit long because I want to ask me some more questions.
You got dropped off, is what you said.
No, I drove a Lincoln Continental.
Oh, you dropped her off at the store.
Yeah, I'm good. But no, I'm going in a minute. But no, you want some more questions?
No, well, I actually want to talk about
You got me here because I'm gonna be gone. I'll be on them airplanes sleeping again.
Right. By the way, folks.
Can't talk about my CD.
Yeah, this is our last in the basement of the year 2013, and I wouldn't rather have it any other way than with Mr. Ralphe Armstrong, and I'll probably cut all that out because I don't know why I ramble so much, man.
That's good.
To
You
just
all right?
get my question out.
You know, I've been on the Tonight Show. I know. I've been on all kind of shows. Go on, keep talking.
Johnny.
Okay, before we get to the album CD, one of the things I enjoy every time I see you is when you speak, you make everybody laugh. Where did the comedy come from, man?
You know where it came from? Honestly, I learned a lot from Eddie Harris because he would mess with me. Eddie Harris was a scientist, a great saxophone player that wrote Freedom Jazz Dance.
One of my favorite songs.
And he would write some stuff. He wrote some things, and I'm gonna play this in a minute. I'm gonna do it slow. It's not my instrument, but I'm gonna play. He wrote a piece which I recorded with him called Ambidextrous. It's the prelude to Freedom Jazz Dance. And it took me, honestly, over 2 days to figure out a logical technique to play it. And people have to understand this, and I hope you bass players are listening. In order to play something that's a passage, multiple notes or arpeggios connected, you have to have the proper technique. Now let me tell you why. If you're playing this and your hands are fumbling, your fingers are fumbling for the notes, you're going to hear that sound on the recording. It's not going to be distinct, you know. So I kind of had to figure it out. He was a scientist. He said, "Man, we're going to play a inverted dominant 7, and we gonna descend in fourths, and then go to a minor third, and then connect to a C13 flat 5 with a raised 9." Okay, so it's like it started out. Let's see if now I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna try to do it slower than I normally do. I played a penitentiary bass before. It's kind of different.
Yeah. For those who don't know, that's a hard bass to play, and he is making it look easy. I played that bass and
man, there's so much wood on this bass. It's like Paul Bunyan cut it. Look at this neck. God, man, my mother-in-law here. But yes, I'm sorry. Let's go back.
So yeah, the comedy started with the funny.
Eddie. You know what it is too? I enjoy life. That's why I like to be joking, because I like right now I have a lot of things to do. In order to relieve the stress, I use the comedy to kind of relieve stress. And another thing too, I almost died twice. And you have to enjoy it. Because what happened, well, actually once. No, it was twice. But I was in a bad car accident. I woke up and they were pulling me out of the car. I had a Jaguar. And this guy looking at his cell phone in an ice storm, like this, but it was ice, was flying in an old Chevy, man, young cat, pay attention, and hit me and knocked me. I woke up, my car was in the man's hedges. So, and I thank God that I got another chance. He kept me here for a reason, and all the airplane flights I've been on, and you know, I've been on the plane. Matter of fact, I was on the airplane with Eddie Harris in the island of Hup in Iceland, near Reykjavik. And we had to de-ice the plane ourselves.
Wow.
And he was an ex-paratrooper. He was back there drinking wine, laughing. Man, this ain't that plane going at 360. It was circle. And I looked at Sherman Ferguson, bless his heart. And we were going over glaciers. I said, man, anything happen, I know I'm going to die because you too ugly to eat. I know I'm going to die. I would never cut the deal with. I'll just be dead. I'll find me some worms somewhere. But it's a good thing to be happy because, you know, some people are not happy with their lives. I'm happy with what I have and as long as my kids are healthy and I'm happy to have a decent life. I'm happy I don't pay for anything as far as instruments and equipment. I don't buy anything. You know, people are calling me constantly with new products to try out and you know, I'm doing good. You know, I've spent a lot of money on my kids, and the money's coming back. You know, I've been really blessed. You know, so my life is I'm pretty content. You know, because some people want more. You know, I'm happy with what I'm doing, which you know is my dreams: playing music and recording and traveling, and being considered one of the top musicians in the world, and that's a blessing. You know, I don't say it. People keep telling me. They know what Miles taught me. This is one thing, and Miles, I'll never forget it, man. Miles was so cool with me. You know, he was my friend. Miles said, "Fat boy." I said, "Yeah, Miles." I was on the phone, man. Miles was cool. Miles, he said, "Is you practicing?" I said, "Yeah, Miles, I'm playing all kind of stuff." Then Miles say, and I always believe in this. Miles said, he says, "Is it new?" I said, "Yeah, I'm gonna work on some new stuff." "Don't play like nobody else. Just make sure you different. It is something new." And I said, "Yeah, Miles, I'm working on it." "Fat boy." I said, "Yes, Miles." "If you have to tell everybody you great, you ain't shit." That's what he really said. I'm sorry for that word, but that's what he said. So I love the guy. He was good to me.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about this CD, which I've had the pleasure of purchasing myself. There you go, folks.
I like the other side better. I don't know why they didn't put the other picture on there.
I heard a few tracks and I listened to them. In fact, I listened to every one of them on your record labels page because they give you a sample of all the songs. Mm-hmm. And I thought they were a marvelous display of playing the bass, the upright on most of them. But what I found out about this album is that it's a project from a few years ago, right?
Right, it was done in the 90s. But the thing about it, you ever do something in your life that was just good? You just like, wow, this is good.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I thought about it because I kept listening to it. And you know why I put it out?
Mm-hmm.
I sent it to my dearest friend on the earth, and that's one of the top producers, man. And he's my friend, but he'll tell me that something is whack tonight, and he ain't gonna hide his feelings. And that's Michael Narda. Narda said, "Man, I like this." He was gonna do it, and he was like, "Wow, this is banging." So that's when I got his approval for something. I know it was good, and what it does, it shows me my ability. And it's like my zenith because it shows the concepts of me. I'm on one piece, I'm doing a piece called Dear Old Stockholm, where actually Richard Davis, who was one of my mentors, who gave me lessons, not like Ron, but he, you know, he's the older guy. I was a kid, you know, I'm with Richard Davis, who Igor Stravinsky said was the greatest classical bass player in the world. He called him a black giant, you know. He looks like Abraham Lincoln. You ever seen Richard Davis? You know, I can't tell you the whole story about it, but when the camera's off, I'm going to have y'all cracking up. But he played Dear Old Stockholm. And I never heard anybody, this is before Gary Carr was recording, I never heard anyone play this. So I showed on this recording my classical technique and concept. You heard that song, Dear Old Stockholm? Mm-hmm. Then I'm playing swing. And then at the end, I'm playing some Show Enough, which is a transcription I did. Miles, We Gotta Go. Because the last time I saw Miles, he was with Reggie Lucas and Toomey, and they were like, Miles, we gotta go. We gotta go, Miles. Wait a minute. Can't you see I'm with a lady? Miles, we gotta go, man. So that's why I call it Miles, we gotta go. And I'm playing like electric, fusion. I mean, and I want you guys to listen to it. As far as I'm concerned, just my opinion, it might be, and I'm not trying to be biased or anything, but I never heard anybody play electric bass like that. Because I was crazy because my mother was there. That's the last time my mother saw me play live when she was alive. That was the last concert, and I dedicated that concert to Vince Wilborn's mother, who passed, Miles' nephew, you know. But that shows Ralph. What I'm about. I'm a fusion player. I play all genres of music. People call me, oh, he's a jazz musician. Yeah, I play jazz. I also play with Todd Caldwell, Marshall Tucker Band. I play with Elliot Easton of the Cars. You know, these are rock and roll shows. I play with Jeff Beck. Me and Jeff Beck, you know, it's a funny thing. Jeff Beck was here last year. He was at the Fox. So I went down and this, you know, these brothers, security guys, they're like, oh man, you can't go on. This brother coming in, Jeff Beck. I ain't getting there. He looked up and said, Ralph, hey man, you know what's up? You know, because we played, and me, him, and Bernard Purdy, we played jammed all the time and hung out. I could tell you some stories that make you fall about Bernard Purdy chasing Norma Bell. That was hilarious. That was the funniest thing I ever seen in my life in Philly. But the thing is this, it shows what I'm about. You know, I'm not one-dimensional. I play country and western. I played with Anna Maria Alberghetti. I worked with Vic Damone, Diane Carroll. Man, there's so many musicians. For years, people don't know this, but I played bass with Steve Allen for many years. I have all of his recordings.
The old comedian from
the first after Jack. He was the host of the Tonight Show after Jack Parr.
Right.
He was the second host, and he held it for years, 10 years. You know, Steve Allen. And I worked with all of these great people, like Phyllis Diller would call me to work. You know, I've been blessed. I worked with Bernardo Bernardi, the Gaylords. He called me for Reno. You know, so I've had a blessed musical career because of my ability. You know, but I'm not. I play all sorts of music. I played with the Temps. I recorded with the Temps. Played with the Four Tops. I played with the Spinners. I traveled with the Spinners. Played with the Miracles when I was a kid. You know, so I play all sorts of music. You know, I played with string being and the hee-haw. You know, so that's a blessing.
But you're a fusion man, though.
Yeah, fusion. But
so
actually, if you look what fusion means, it's a mixture of all music.
Right, it's a fuse of...
Yeah, because a lot of that music we did in the beginning, you know, I tell you, I was copying a lot of Jameson, not copying, but his concept, the feel, you know. All of us, there's like 3 players, maybe 4 players that really can play the Motown music. And I said Michael Henderson, James Jameson Jr., of course, you know, and Michael Henderson, and when he gets his hair done, Tony Newton. Man, I ain't never seen nobody, his son look older than him. He got hair look like Tiny Tim.
Yeah.
You see Tony Newton?
Tony Newton,
Tony.
Another Detroit bass player.
Oh, Tony. How you doing, Tony?
Yeah, he do have it turned out.
See, a lot of people don't know, but Tony was Smokey's bass player. So I took his place. You know, that's one way back, man.
Yeah. Well, again, your CD is wonderful. I heard, I can't confirm, but I heard it was like gaining up on the jazz charts and certain.
Yeah,
certain
that's what it's in the top 10, and they sent me an email from the company. I'm like, it only been out 3 weeks. I must have did something right. I didn't know I would. They told me I would have been a criminal and everything when I was coming up.
Right.
I didn't know. They said I'd be locked up along with Reggie, making penitentiary.
You still would have been a bass player, though. You would have got your penitentiary bass, but you'd have been in the penitentiary.
That's right. I'm so glad to be out. I'm happy as a runaway slave to be out.
See?
Well, the crazy thing, this is your first Ralphe Armstrong album.
CD, right. And guess what? Wait till you see the next one coming out. That's going to be some all original. Maybe one cover song, but I'm gonna bring the heavyweights on the next one.
Yeah, I'm sure you're excited about it. By this being your first one,
and
after all of these years,
and people digging it too.
And you just gotta come back and do follow up.
Oh, we're gonna follow up, and I'm gonna let you know what's happening. Big Ivan Terrible. I called him Big Vine. I was so sleepy. I said, "Hey, Vine."
Yeah, and I was like, I don't know. I don't think I want to reply to after he get here because you might like. I said your name was Vine, and just for that, I ain't coming.
Guess what? When it comes to the bass instrument, when I'm around nice people, I don't act like that, you know, because I'm always for people who are trying to put the instrument in its in the front, you know. And then another thing about the bass too, this is one of the last things I do have to leave in a minute, but one of the things that people really, really need to know that this instrument has a fascinating history.
Yes, it does.
Period. This instrument originally, it's a spiritual instrument. It was the original instrument of the Catholic Church. Gregorian chants, the monks played the bass. You know, they da 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 da. You know, the chants and things were accompanied by the bass viols, and they were 3-string. You know, we didn't get the 4th string until around 1846. Actually, as standardized in this concept, and a lot of people don't know. If it wasn't for the King of Prussia, we wouldn't have these tuning pegs up here. You know, because the King of Prussia ordered in 1778 a man by the name of Karl Ludwig Bachmann to design an apparatus to tune the bass instrument. Everybody, have you ever seen the bass fiddles? They have these knobs sticking out of them. You ever see them look at the orchestra? See the knobs sticking out at the top where the strings go? Those are called hat pegs, and he invented the hat peg.
Pig like a wing nut or something.
Yeah, but it sticks out like a hat. It's like you ever see Frankenstein, like a bolt. It sticks out. Actually, that's what it is. It holds the cog in place. They call them hat pegs, and it's an old concept. They still mass produce them new because of the King of Prussia. King of Prussia actually was a very, very hip guy. You know, a lot of people don't know history is so important. His protege, well, his chief of staff was an African. A lot of people don't know that, and this is in Germany. That's some stuff.
Yeah,
look at your history.
That is deep. I think
he was a very, very modern 21st century guy back in the 1700s. He was, he was not prejudiced or anything of the different nationalities. Isn't that something? And I was telling that at the Warwick camp, and they were, yeah, this is right, this is true. You know the German history. I said, wonderful. I said, wonderful to you.
Gesundheit.
Yeah.
That's all in German.
Ain't nobody sneezing. Like this.
See, Gesundheit doesn't mean have anything to do with sneezing. It's saying have a wonderful or hello, good day to you.
It's really bless you.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, bless you.
Okay, so look. If y'all want to play like Ralph, well, ain't nobody gonna be able to play like Ralph.
That's not true.
But if you want to get good like Ralph, go back and check out the history. It ain't about just your fingers. It's about your brain and what you transfer into your fingers.
That's right. That's well said.
Yeah. Well, I like I said, I ain't too shabby myself. So.
I see. That's why I came over here. And you got your penitentiary buddy and your parole officer. Nice.
We behaving, man. We behaving.
Now, what's besides your new album? What's up for the future for Ralphe Armstrong?
Well, what's in the future? I might do some more teaching, but traveling with this group I have in Detroit. It's Zion Israel on the keyboard, Galen McKinney, and this little kid I got. He's 19, can't remember myself, but I was like, Alex Callista. Yeah, that's my baby. And he's a good young man. And it's funny. This is why I stay in Detroit, because he came up to me. This guy looked like what's his name? Jerry Mathers, Leave It to Beaver. He come to me, can they hear you, Ben? I was like, what this planet is he from? You know, because he looks so conservative. You know, this cat started playing the same sound like Eric Duffy. He sound like Sonny Stitt. I was like, what? What kind of water you been drinking? Little Italian kid, man.
I saw him at your show, and I was just amazed at the kid that this young.
That's coming next. The show. Excuse me, cutting you off. Right, he's young, but the show, we're editing the shows now. So they'll be out on DVD, and you got to see it. You're going to crack up.
These are the
Ralphe Armstrong
from the U Detroit Live.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes.
Any favorite bass players of yours? I'm curious to know.
Yeah.
Who are some of your favorite bass players?
Well, I'm going to tell you, my favorite is God. Me and Stanley Clark call him God Bass, and that's Ron Carter. And my favorite bass player is, and I got to tell you, and I love him with all my heart, he's my dear friend, that's Stanley Clark. Because I think Stanley Clark does stuff with the bass I ain't never seen nobody do. And I said, man, you must spray WD-40 on your fingers after you get that playing. Because this cat he's got hand strength like Dragon Eddie. You couldn't stand me and Stanley in the room talking, because we were together about a year ago down at the Jazz Festival. And everybody, press people, we got to talking about Dragon Eddie and Ray Brown, and just, we didn't even want to hear no interview stuff to these guys, that were like journalists. But we were just so infatuated when we get together about the bass instrument, So, matter of fact, Stanley Clark was the person that told me to go on and endorse Warwick basses. He says one of the finest basses he's got in his collection is a Warwick, Because he gets so many. He's like me. I get a lot of basses. I've got a Fender. A friend bought me. I used it the other day. I have these instruments. I have to use them,
Okay, and are you currently listening to any other bass players currently 2013?
I listen always all bass players. I still listen to Paul Chambers. I listen to Victor Wooten. Victor Wooten, I think, is unusual. He plays the bass like a banjo. And guess what? I want to get, this is something I would like to do for 14. I want to get his Reggie Wooten here. So those out here want to finance this concert, because I put about 80,000 in concerts, in Detroit, and my own money. And it's like, I want to get Reggie Wooten here. Me and Reggie played at the Warwick Bass Camp last year, man. And I did some snippets on the internet with Warwick site, and we played, man. And he loves Detroit. We got to get Reggie Wooten here. Reggie can sing, play the guitar, Victor. And you get them guys together, boy, it's like, what kind of music is this? Yep. Them cats be hitting, man. It's like playing the bass sound like a banjo, like he's out from Buck Running, Mississippi, and Caryville, Tennessee, where my people from.
All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's been a pleasure hanging out with. It's a
pleasure to be here in the basement too.
Hanging out with.
Basement is nice. It's got electricity and it's nice. It kind of reminds me of my basement because I had carpet like this, white carpet plush when I'm in my house.
This is my penitentiary. I like getting locked up.
Oh yeah.
And I don't know what I was saying, but whatever I was saying, well, one of the greatest bass players in the entire world.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you for hanging out with us, Mr. Ralphe Armstrong. Is there anything, could you just play us something out, man, before we let you go and take a picture with you?
Here, do this, because my knee is sore.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Ralphe Armstrong, a Detroit bass player. America.
I never played it to penitentiary, but thank you. And peace, and God bless everybody play the bass.
Thank you, man.